Yes.
Welcome, ma'am.
Welcome. Okay, sorry for keeping all of you waiting. I got stuck in something. All right. So, okay, now in the previous classes, we have discussed about certain important individual level variables of OB. We've discussed about personality dimensions. We've discussed about perception. Today I'll discuss about attitudes. And then after that, we'll kind of sum up all of these things. So attitude is what we plan to take up. Now, what is attitude and how is it related to behavior? That's what we would be discussing today. Now, attitude is as a general term, attitude refers to your predisposition towards something. That is what your attitude is. So attitude is often seen as one's predisposition, as we said, or one's position that we have towards some person or some object or event or situation. So what kind of position I take towards something, that is called as an attitude. My attitude towards this person, or my attitude towards this object or this thing or this situation. So attitude is your evaluative statement or evaluative judgment or predisposition towards something. An attitude has a very interesting relationship with behavior, and often in general parlance we often use the two terms as interchangeable terms, behavior, attitude. We use them interchangeably also, but in OB theory they have a slight difference. Now, if we say that attitude has this ABC component, ABC model of attitude. So what is this? Attitude has a cognitive component, it has an affective component, and then it has a behavioral component. So cognitive is the related to the mental part, the thinking part, the opinion or belief or segment of an attitude, which is formed by your values. So some belief that you may hold about something is your cognitive attitude towards something. For example, if you believe that cheating in class is wrong, now that is your belief towards cheating. Okay, that is the cognitive belief that you have. That is the cognitive attitude towards cheating that one may be having. So it's how you look at cheating, what value you have as far as the concept of cheating is concerned. Then there is an affective component. Because of that cognitive value, your emotions get kind of transformed due to this belief that you may be having. So affective is your likes and dislikes, your emotions, your feelings towards somebody or towards something. So for example, if I believe that cheating in class is wrong, then my affective component could be that I don't like this person because he cheats in class. So because I believe that cheating is wrong, so I start disliking a person who cheats. Right? So this is your affective component, affection. So basically you may start liking somebody or disliking something, or you may develop a certain emotion or feeling about something based on your beliefs, based on your values. So the cognitive component might shape your affective component. So I don't like X because he cheats in class. So that way. And then you have a behavioral component. Because of this, your behavior may get affected. So you start behaving in a certain manner because of this belief that you have and because of this emotion that you have. So for example, because I don't like X since he cheats in class, so I may start avoiding X. I may not talk to X, though X may be my classmate, but I may stop talking to X. I may start avoiding X, or I may start, not being in the company of X, and so on. So my behavior gets attuned, it gets transformed because of this belief and because of this, cognitive component that we form and the affective component that we form. Now, what is the attitude behavior relationship? Now, normally, as per what we discussed just now, we have seen that cognitive and affective component of attitude, they may affect behavior. So typically this happens that you have a belief, you have an emotion about something, and your behavior gets changed because of that belief and emotion. So normally we say that the cognitive and affective components, they affect the behavioral component. But in reality, there's a very complex relationship between attitudes and beliefs. And so let's see what is this relationship. So attitude is what one thinks or believes generally, and behavior is what one would do. Okay, so typically that is how we differentiate. Now, does A affect B or does B affect A? So we just now saw that mostly it is your beliefs, your values that would affect behavior. But sometimes what happens is that in reality, the reverse may also happen. Behavior may also start affecting A. So the question is tricky, it is complex. Does attitude affect behavior because of your belief? Do you behave in a certain manner? Or do you behave and then because of the behavior, a certain belief gets formed? That is the complexity. So most researchers, they have indicated that attitudes predict behavior. So we have a belief, we have a thought about something, and then my behavior may change because of that thought or belief. So it's typically attitudes that that may predict behavior. That is what happens normally. So then we say that the relationship between A and B, as what we understood now, may be controlled by certain moderating factors. What are these moderating factors? I mean, how strongly would attitude predict behavior? It would predict behavior, but how strongly? So the moderating variables are primarily these two. It says that importance, clarity, recall, experience of the attitude, if that is high, then A-B relationship will also be high. Which means that if I am clear about my beliefs, if I am clear about my thoughts, then my behavior will be predicted by my attitudes. So for example, if I am very clear that cheating is wrong, then because of that clarity, I will not cheat and I will not like somebody who cheats. So there is a lot of clarity in my mind that cheating is wrong, it is unethical and I should not cheat. So my behavior will get affected by that attitude. So the more clear about my beliefs I am, the strongly those beliefs are going to affect my behavior. So if a person feels that, you should be ethical in your dealings, then that person will try to be ethical. If that person believes strongly in this belief, then that person will try to be ethical in their, everyday work and dealings. So the stronger your attitude are, the more clear you are about your attitude or belief. If you can, if that attitude you can recall quickly, if that is there up in your mind all the time, if it is very important for you, then in that case, the A-B relationship is going to be high, which means that your attitude is going to affect your behavior. So this is one moderating variable. On the other hand, if that belief is not very strong, if it's not a very strong and a very important thing for you, then maybe in that case, your attitude-behavior relationship may not be very high. Similarly, just the opposite may happen in case of social pressures. If social pressure on an individual is high, then the attitude-behavior relationship is low. What does that mean? Many a times, we may have a belief, we may have an attitude towards something, but if social pressure is high, we change our behavior is not affected by our attitude. Let me tell you how it happens. So the same example, so I believe that cheating is wrong and I should not cheat in class and so on. But if social pressure is high, if let us say my friends do it and they kind of create some kind of pressure on me also, that it's okay, come on, sometimes we can just help each other and so on and so forth. So what happens? Somebody who believes that cheating should not be done, even that person gives in to the social pressure. And then you also start doing what others are doing. So in that case, despite the fact that I believed that cheating is wrong, I may start doing it because maybe my friends are doing it. So then my behavior is not concomitant with my attitude because of peer pressure, because of social pressure. And this happens a lot of times with many of us, a lot of us, that many a times, we may have a belief, we may have a conviction that I will not do this, I will behave like this, or I will do like this. But then something happens because of peer pressure, because of social pressure. We start doing something which is against our belief, which is against our value system, which is against our basic, idea. So in that case, your behavior does not support your attitude. Now, why I'm discussing all this is because every day at the workplace, when people come to work, they have certain beliefs, they have certain attitudes. Sometimes they behave as per those beliefs and attitudes. And sometimes because of peer pressure, team pressure, colleagues, and many all of these things, they sometimes behave against their attitude. They sometimes do something which is against their attitude because of strong peer pressure. So I may not approve of something, but because all my colleagues are saying so, I have to agree to them. I have to keep everybody in good, company, in good humor, and I cannot afford to, kind of anger my colleagues or friends or whatever. So many a times we give in to that pressure, that social pressure, that peer pressure, and we agree to what everybody else is saying, although internally I may not agree to what is happening, but I have to give in to that pressure. So this happens where your behavior will not support your attitude. And this happens every day in your work life. So because we're discussing OB, as part of, as an organizational concept, so we talk about work life and all these things. So social pressure, if it is high, then AB relationship will be low. So this is when the first situation prevails, that attitudes will affect behavior. If attitude is more clear and important, it will affect behavior all the more. However, if social pressure is high, then many a times attitude may not affect behavior. The relationship may be slightly low. Then there is a reverse theory also, which says behavior predicts attitude. And again, this also happens with many of us and all of us at some point or the other. Normally, your belief will affect your behavior, but sometimes your behavior leads to attitude formation. You behave in a certain manner, and then to justify your behavior, you change your belief, you change your attitude. So we reaffirm our attitudes to suit our behavior. So here what is happening is that B starts affecting A. So your you can see the slides, right?
No, ma'am.
So at least somebody point out that you can't see the slides. Nobody is saying. So I've been discussing all of this. I thought maybe. Is it visible? Is it visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, now it is.
What happened? What happened before this?
Ma'am, I think it wasn't started or something.
So somebody should have pointed that out, no? So anyway, just because see, without slides, looking at somebody speaking without really, this helps. When you have a slide also going on, it helps. Anyway, so I've discussed this ABC model. I've discussed the attitude behavior relationship. So I discussed all this. So nothing very significant, but anyway, just a recap of what I've discussed. So A predicts B, and if attitude is clear and important, AB relationship is high. If social pressure is high, then AB relationship is low. That is what I just now discussed. Then the reverse thing may happen, which is part of self-perception theory, which says B predicts A. So B predicts A, which means that sometimes you behave in a certain manner, and because you behave in that manner, to justify your behavior, you change your attitude, you change your belief about that thing. So what happens is that now B starts affecting A. So what happens is that, then taking that same example, for example, I believed that one should not cheat in class, but maybe because of peer pressure, one day I did something, I started copying from my friend or somebody and I cheated, let us say. Now what will happen? Because I have done something, so I may try to justify my behavior by changing my attitude. So I may feel that, okay, fine, once in a while it is okay. Maybe next time I will not do it and things like that. So we often change our beliefs because we want to justify our behaviors. So here B starts affecting A. So somebody may be very ethical, he may not like to do something wrong, but he does something wrong. And then to justify that wrong, he may change his attitude and he may say that, okay, sometimes it's fine. I've not killed anyone. It's okay. And once in a while, we can do this. So you try to justify your behavior. So in that case, then behavior starts affecting your belief. Your behavior molds your attitude, your belief, your value. So many a times there may be a two-way relationship, between A and B. This is self-perception theory. There is this theory of cognitive dissonance also, Leon Festinger, which is often discussed to explain this A-B incompatibility. So normally, what happens is that Festinger says that attitudes will affect behavior, but sometimes we behave differently as compared to what attitude we have. And then as a result of that, there is some kind of dissonance which is there. So I may have cheated, but internally I'm not happy with what I've done. I feel dissatisfied. Somewhere I feel guilty. So there is a dissonance. So this theory says that sometimes there may be a dissonance, an incompatibility between your attitude and behavior. And as a result of that, we may try to reduce that dissonance. You try to justify your behavior. And that is what I said, that you may say that it's okay, sometimes, it's fine, once in a while it's fine. I only tried to help my friend. Nothing wrong in that. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to justify myself because somewhere internally I'm feeling guilty. I'm feeling bad. There is some incompatibility between my thought and my action. And I try to reduce that dissonance. So I try to reduce the cognitive dissonance which is there between my attitude and behavior. So the desire or pressure to reduce dissonance is high. If the importance of element creating dissonance is high, if the reward and benefit of reducing dissonance is high, then in that case, I will try to reduce the dissonance. In both these cases, I'll try to, in a way, justify or do something so that, I can please myself. So we may change our attitude or behavior to reduce dissonance. So somebody who believes that smoking is wrong will not smoke. But sometimes because of maybe peer pressure, that person smokes. And then that person may try to justify that act, that once in a while it's okay, I just did it to just try it, and maybe I'll not do it in future and things like that. So we are changing our attitude now and justifying what we have done because there is some incompatibility somewhere, there is some dissonance somewhere, some dissatisfaction somewhere. So we try to minimize that dissonance. We try to change our attitude towards that. So this is what is there. So sometimes we either change our behavior or sometimes we change our belief about that behavior. So if I feel very guilty, I will obviously, quit smoking and never smoke again or whatever. But otherwise, sometimes people will change their attitude and it's not as bad as they say, or I've already cut down on my smoking and I don't do it every day and things like that. So you change your belief, you change your attitude, and we do it. Many a times, these things, they happen that we do things which are contrary to our attitude. There is a dissonance, and then we try to reduce the dissonance by either justifying our act or changing the behavior or changing the attitude in some manner so that I feel satisfied with what I may have done. So this is what cognitive dissonance theory says. We are all aware of this story of the fox and the grapes. So the fox tried hard to get the grapes, but when it couldn't, it said that the grapes are sour. So it changed its attitude towards the grape. So what happened was that because it failed or it somehow could not manage to get those grapes, so it said that maybe they are bad and they're sour and all those things. So that is what the idea of dissonance is. We try to reduce our dissonance by often changing our attitudes and beliefs. So this is what the theory of cognitive dissonance is about. So now what is the relevance of all of this for OB as such? So I already discussed that in an organization, this kind of a situation comes in every day. We change our behaviors, sometimes we change our attitudes. Every day we face a lot of things where attitude, behavior, compatibility may be there, and we change sometimes our behavior, we sometimes change our attitude. We try to reduce the dissonance in some manner. So, for example, an employee may believe that hard work is good. That is his attitude. What will that employee do? He may actually work hard, he may start putting in more effort, so he will either change his behavior, or sometimes he may feel that, I'm working hard and still I'm not getting rewarded, and look at others, they are not working hard and yet they are happy and fine. So what will happen is, I may now start changing my attitude. It's useless working so hard over here. There's no point. Why should I spend so much effort? Why should I put in so many hours? It's no use. I can work less and be happy. So I will change my belief that hard work is good. And that is what happens in organizations. Many a times, organizations have experienced that when new people come in, they often have very strong beliefs about certain things. But gradually, if your culture is not very strong, if you don't have a very strong ethical workplace culture, then what happens is that these new people who may be very hardworking, who may be very sincere, who may be very committed, they often get influenced by the workplace politics, by the workplace culture, which may not be very supportive and very good or very ethical or whatever. And then these people, they also start underperforming. They also change their attitude. It's okay. Why should I sit till 7 o'clock in the evening? I'll go back at 5 and so on. Why should I work hard? And it's fine if I can leave some of the tasks undone and so on. So if your workplace culture is not very strong in the organization, if your ethical standards are not very strong, then those people who have joined you with strong ethics, strong morality, strong attitudes, even they may change their attitude and they may also start underperforming and things like that. So organizations suffer on that account. So they have to ensure that if people have strong beliefs about something, if they have strong attitudes about something, then those attitudes should be supported by the organization, through the organization culture and through the organization policies or through reward mechanisms. We should try to support these strong attitudes so that people do positive things. So their behavior will be positively affected. So attitude will positively affect the behavior. But if somebody is very sincere, very ethical, very hardworking, and that person is not recognized, not rewarded, not appreciated, then gradually with time that person may become disgruntled. He may start having that dissonance that it's no use working hard. And that person may also start indulging in workplace politics and may start, indulging in all these kinds of things. And that person's performance will also go down. So this is how the theory of cognitive dissonance explains that typically attitude will affect behavior, but sometimes because of social pressure or because of many of these things, what may happen is that the attitude-behavior relationship may be low, or it may also be reversed. We may do something which is not otherwise supportive of our attitude, and yet we may justify those things because the situation is such. So this is how this becomes detrimental for the organization. So too much cognitive dissonance will be harmful. So organizations need to have clear values in letter and spirit to avoid any confusion. Employee coaching, employee training, communication, feedback, reward, all these are necessary to send a strong message about what we value in the organization. So if the organization values ethics, then that message has to go. People who are ethical have to be rewarded. People who are resorting to unethical means, they have to be penalized for that. Your training, your communication, your feedback, all that message has to go to people that we value ethics. So right attitudes and behaviors, they have to be spelt out to reduce dissonance. So employee efforts have to be linked to rewards. If people are, behaving positively, if they have strong beliefs, as we said, and they are trying to behave as per those beliefs, then they have to be rewarded, appreciated, and so on. Otherwise, they will change their attitude. And they will also start feeling that it's no use working hard, it's no use putting in so much effort. they will also start underperforming. Their sincerity and commitment and loyalty will also go down. They may become dissatisfied. Their morale will go down. Their motivation will go down. They may leave the organization. So it's not good. So organizations have to, if they have a particular value, if they have a particular standard, then that value and standard has to be conveyed to people. And people have to understand that, okay, this is the attitude that the organization wants us to have. This is how it wants us to behave. People should behave as per that attitude. And when they behave as per that attitude, the organization should appreciate them, reward them, felicitate them, recognize their achievement. Otherwise, the reverse will happen, dissonance will happen, and they will not follow that value. So this is what typically is the relationship between attitude and behavior. Types of positive attitudes in OB. Types of positive attitudes in OB? What are the things that we value? So organizations, they value productivity naturally. They value performance. I mean, why do they have you as an employee? Because they want you to perform. They want you to be productive. So that is obviously something that they want you to do. They value that attitude. They value effectiveness, for example. They value efficiency, for example. Job involvement. You should be involved in the work that you're doing. You should be committed to your task and your activity and the organization. Then the organizations, they value good citizenship behavior. What is this OCB, organizational citizenship behavior? This is the behavior that is expected from us within the organization. Good citizens, it is those small things that may not be part of your job, but you are expected to do that. For example, no job description will tell you that you have to be truthful, but maybe you're expected to be truthful in the organization. No job description will tell you that you have to be friendly and supportive of your colleagues. But anyway, you are supposed to be friendly and supportive of your colleagues. So there are those unsaid, unwritten, tacit behaviors which may not be written in your contract or your job description, but it is expected. Organizations would expect you to be ethical or whatever, good in terms of your behavior towards each other and whatever. There would be a lot of things depending on the type of organization. So every organization would have some unsaid rules, some tacit rules, which may not be written down, but which are expected that you would behave in that manner. Those are called as organizational citizenship behaviors. Those small things that we are expected to do as part of the organization's way of things, as part of the organization's culture. So these are some of the values that organizations want people to have. Some organizations may value productivity. Some organizations may value efficiency or effectiveness. Some may value commitment. Some may value OCB. Depending on the nature of the organization, depending on the type of organization, different organizations may have different value systems. And those value systems become the attitudes of the organization. And the organizations, they want people to have those attitudes, those beliefs. And then the organization expects that you would behave as per these attitudes. So some organizations, as I said, they value ethics, some value teamwork, some value commitment, some value good relationships at the workplace. Different organizations have different cultures, different characters. And so they have different value systems or different attitudes, and they want their people to have those attitudes and behave as per those attitudes. And in order to make people behave as per those attitudes, as we said, organizations have to reward people, felicitate people, recognize people, their achievements, and so on and so forth, their behaviors, if they are supportive of the organization's value systems. If you don't do that, there will be dissonance, and people will start changing their attitude, their belief. They will not be sincere, they will not be committed, they will not indulge in good acts, or they will not do OCB, organizational citizenship acts, and so on. So this is how attitudes and behaviors are important for organizations. Now you see, in this online class, it's not at all, we cannot have a lot of discussion, and we used to have case studies and all those things. Now it's typically a little difficult to do all those cases and all those things in online sessions, but we will still have some cases later on for discussion, for your understanding. I may share some cases with you. You can read them in your free time, and then during the class we can discuss. Although it is slightly difficult to discuss cases and all in the online mode, but anyway, we'll try to manage that way. So I'm not extending this discussion any further. I mean, to understand attitude and behavior, I think this much is sufficient. So let's keep it short and meaningful. Right, so this is what attitude behavior relationship is. Now, all of these things, they're all interrelated concepts. Perception, personality, attitude, behavior, they're all interrelated concepts, because your personality affects your perception. Your perception may affect your, belief, attitude, whatever. Sometimes the reverse may happen. Because of your perception, your personality may get shaped as a result of that. So these are all interrelated concepts. These are all individual concepts. These are all individual variables which are of significance for organizational behavior. So that is why we need to understand them. There are few more individual variables like motivation and learning that we will take up after this. And then we will move on to the group related variables like group dynamism and teamwork and group conflict and group communication, group leaders, group motivation. So all those group related concepts we'll take up in the later units. Okay. I wish to stop the class. I mean, we have covered this portion today, so we can stop now. If you want to point out anything, if there's anything you want to say, let me know. Otherwise, from my side, it's over. Is it okay, Zareen? So we can wind up?
जी मैम, बिल्कुल मैम, जैसा
have you taken the attendance?
Yes ma'am, I have taken the attendance.
Is there anything that anybody wants to say or discuss? Otherwise, we'll close for today. Then maybe next class, Friday, we have the class. So we'll meet on Friday. Okay. Very soon, we'll be announcing a few assignments for you for the class. After we cover one or two topics more, so we'll announce the assignment, so you can start working on those assignments. Okay, I don't know if you have the book with you. There is a book by Stephen Robbins on organizational behavior. Normally we used to have it in the library, but since you're not here, so if you want to have your own copy, you can have your own copy. Otherwise, we will share some reading material with you later on, right? Okay then, all right. Okay, Zareen, we can end the meeting. Okay, thank you everybody.
Thank you everybody.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.